Teleworking. In this presentation, we're going to look at how we define technology, theories of technology, how technology enables teleworking, what teleworking is, statistics and the rise of teleworking, how teleworking has led to new and different ways of living and working, monitoring and control in telework, the benefits and limitations for the employer and employee of telework, other benefits, a summary, and then question time.
Firstly, what do we mean by technology?
One of the first problems to be faced in exploring technology in everyday corporate life is deciding what we mean by technology. According to Alan Fox, technology in an everyday corporate organisation can be understood as the physical tools, equipment and machines used within an organisation to achieve its objectives. In order to help us understand technology, we introduce the theories of technology. We will begin by considering the provenance of prosthetic theories of technology. Firstly, the dualism of determinism and voluntarism suggests that characteristics of technology adopted by an organisation can lead to positive or negative effects on an organisation depending on how the organisation uses it. Secondly, there is the dualism of good and evil, which suggests the idea of whether technology is a good thing or a bad thing for members of the organisation. Under the technological determinism and voluntarism theory, there are also the futurism and romanticism approaches. The label futurism is used to describe the characteristics of the technological apparatus that brings fundamental changes to everyday life of a corporate worker, resulting in positive benefits for all. Romanticism stems from a perception that modern technology undermines certain core natural human values and abilities, particularly the ability to act autonomously in the making of life choices. Therefore, one can argue that technology, such as the internet, computers, tablets, video, emailing, and the invention of the smartphone have revolutionised the way organisations operate and led to the birth of teleworking and the increase in people who are able to work remotely. What do we mean by teleworking? As modern information and communication technologies have progressed, workers have been able to have a completely different type of working and living. It is believed that there is no single definition of teleworking. However, all of the ideas surrounding teleworking strongly relate to the idea by Burton and Denby that teleworking refers to working at a distance from the people who pay you. This suggests that teleworkers no longer have to work at traditional workplaces, and instead, jobs can be relocated to places more convenient for workers, such as working at home. Sermon highlights that this idea of teleworking is no longer something only done by those on margins, but has now ostensibly become a perk available to highly trusted professional staff. Moreover, in the definition of the Labour Force Survey, they define teleworkers as people who do some paid or unpaid work in their own home and who use both a telephone and computer. Technology is at the foundation of teleworkers. They have to use modern technology equipment to have communication with their company when they are working from home, whether this be for help, guidance, or even supervisory means. Equipment such as computers with internet access, email accounts, fax machines, phone and video conferencing all contribute to teleworking. It is also important to recognise that global competition forces reluctant companies to follow suit, hence the rise of teleworking that we will demonstrate next. As previously suggested, technology is the most fundamental factor giving rise to teleworking. With these technological advancements, information is portable and accessible, therefore allowing people to work at home. Teleworking has become more popular since the 1970s, with the number of people who are being given the opportunity to or opting to work from home increasing.
Some statistics of teleworking.
According to the CBI survey conducted by Harvey Nash, in 2011 about 59% of employers had offered teleworking. The figures have grown over the years, compared with only 13% in 2006, 46% in 2008, and the figures continuing to grow in line with technology. According to the ONS survey and BBC News, the number of teleworks in the UK has increased from 2.4 million in the early 2005 to 3 million in 2007, 5 million in 2010, and 7 million in 2014. Has teleworking led to new and different ways of living and working? The main changes that have been brought about by the expansion of teleworking relate to supervisory procedures and control mechanisms within the workplace. In some occasions, more freedom within the job, but in all cases, an increased flexibility for workers. Teleworking can very much be considered as a solution to problems of balancing work and family. Having to travel to the office every day can not only be extremely time consuming, with commuting times on top of working hours, but also can have a negative effect on family life. Teleworking has been introduced, and more specifically, work-life balance has been adapted to create space for reproductive labour and family care work. As a result, people are able to balance their work and their home life to get the best of both worlds by blurring the boundary, or at least that's how it appears. It is important to recognise that in terms of new ways of living and working, people generally struggle to cope with the physical boundaries being removed and the way that they now have to live and work within the same space. Sermon suggests that workers have a desire for a socially constructive distinction between work and home, and ensuring that the divide is symbolically recreated. This is often done via people creating their own workspaces, which is more often than not having an office space within their home. For some, making this distinction is much more difficult as they have to work in family spaces such as the living room or dining room, and therefore they create the distinction between work and home in other ways. For example, people get dressed into work clothes, structure their day with breaks, and create daily rituals, using signs to indicate to the rest of the family that they are working, etc. Once this distinction is made, people are able to make the most of the benefits of increased flexibility by being at home and being able to structure their day in a way that appears more convenient to them, whilst also being able to earn a living and carry out their usual work tasks thanks to improvements in technology. Control mechanisms and monitoring for teleworking.
Well, I suppose there's two levels, isn't there? There's the senior level, which is myself, which is just, I've got tasks to do and activities to do and full stop. I have to achieve them on certain dates. And then there's the more junior role where from that particular angle, they may need to be logged in and need to be supervised in such a way.
Control and monitoring for telework depend on numerous factors. These factors include what work is being carried out, what level that work is at, the trust with the manager, and the managerial approach taken. At corporate level, monitoring is kept to a minimum and relies more on self-management. Sermon highlights that monitoring is often based on targets, and if these targets aren't being met, then further action may be taken. This demonstrates how pivotal being able to manage yourself and ignore distractions when teleworking actually is. On the other hand, at a more junior level, monitoring and control often tend to be a lot stricter. Direct observation is more difficult, and therefore managers turn to more formal, explicit and stringent supervisory procedures in telework. Although technology enables the same levels of monitoring whether the employee was in the office or at home, monitoring often comes in different forms. This sort of monitoring can often control people into working set hours in a day and ensuring that a certain amount of work is. However, it is important to recognise that in some organisations, monitoring may not be as strict as this. A provisioner in the study undertaken by Dimitrova's journal highlights that in their organisation, as long as the work is being undertaken and the correct amount of hours are being done, the boss doesn't actually care how they are done. Benefits for employers. Sermon highlights that from a management perspective, technology and the rise of teleworking has been positive, delivering assumed benefits and ultimately leading to improved organisational performance. The most obvious benefits would be those relating to fixed costs and less of a need for office space. If people are working from home, organisations no longer need to provide the extra desks and floor space that they would if they were working in the office. To further this, an organisation will be able to further expand without needing more office space, therefore making growth a more viable opportunity for an organisation. Also, in the event of expansion, employers will be able to recruit from a wider catchment area, which offers the potential of getting a more highly skilled workforce to work for the company because of the added benefits of being able to telework. In addition, other benefits strongly relate to the employees. Staff are more willing to do extra shifts because work will become that much more convenient. Since people are being offered more flexibility and being able to arrange work around their day-to-day activities, they don't mind doing extra hours that may be over the weekend, in the evenings, etc. Productivity appears to be higher because people save time not having to commute, and therefore can get straight into work knowing that they are in their own comfortable environment and have a better work-life balance. Also, absenteeism appears to be much lower. Barrack highlights that because people are able to work within the comforts of their own home, they are less likely to call in sick than if they were having to commute and sit in an uncomfortable environment all day. Limitations for employers. Although teleworking appears to have many benefits for employers, many of the limitations could severely hinder an organisation and their performance. Firstly, it is important to recognise the difficulties of managing remote employees. Direct observation is impossible, Therefore, an employer must trust their employees to follow rules and carry out the tasks required on a daily basis. Due to this reduced control, it seems obvious that productivity is likely to suffer since employees don't have management looking over their shoulder. Research by Wall shows that speed and quality are often sacrificed when we work from home, simply because there is more of a rush to get a task done and be able to spend time with family members or carry out other activities that are more satisfying for the individual. Not only is an organisation disadvantaged in terms of control and productivity, it is important to recognise that working alone from home almost eliminates the freedom to develop new ideas that often arise within the workplace at lunch times, social times, etc. Wall highlights that some of the best decisions and insights come from hallway and cafeteria discussions, meeting new people, and impromptu team meetings. With the introduction of teleworking, this is no longer possible. Benefits for employees. Handy suggests that new technologies would enable a flexi life, whereby people would be freely able to determine how and when they would work. Teleworkers were able to work at times most convenient to them, have breaks at times that may suit them better, and alter their day around things such as the school run. Ryan highlights that workers are able to escape the 9-to-5 culture. Direct observation is impossible, allowing employees to be freed from the watchful eyes of their managers and from the straitjacket of rigid working hours. As a result, employees have much more autonomy and therefore more satisfaction with their job. In addition to this, workers no longer need to travel and therefore can avoid the traffic and stress of a daily commute. They are in much better position to combine work with other commitments such as caring responsibilities for kids, parents, grandparents, etc. Parents are able to overcome the high cost and low availability of childcare. They are also enabled to do the more simple, satisfying things in life, such as being able to get their children ready for school, have tea with their family, say goodnight to their children, or even things such as being able to make a doctor's or dentist's appointment without having to wait an extra 2 weeks to fit it around work. Dead time is also kept to a minimum. Overall, people are able to better integrate two seemingly distinct spheres of our lives, and therefore have a better work-life balance. Limitations for employees. Teleworking can also have a negative effect on workers. Not being in the office is likely to decrease chances of promotion and prevent employees from being rewarded for good performance. Unfortunately, teleworking reduces the employee's visibility. Noon suggests that workers feel they will be passed up for promotion if they were not visible within the organisation. Also, for some people, too much flexibility can lead to a loss of the ability to control overzealous work tendencies. Technology contributes to the erosion of the work-life boundary, allowing working practices to spill over into what would have previously been private spaces in times such as family holidays. As a result, some employees tend to feel under pressure to make themselves available outside of work time, during evenings, weekends and holidays, leading to an always-on culture which eats into leisure time. Another significant finding suggested by Butler is that teleworkers work, on average, 4 hours more than traditional workers. This highlights that flexibility is actually not increased. Hazinski and Butchanan in their recent survey claim that in an attempt to keep up with teleworkers' performance, supervisors take up unethical approaches. This again highlights that in fact, employees may be subject to even more control and less freedom than in the workplace. Other beneficiaries of teleworking include the community and people who may be disadvantaged by needing to be in the workplace. Some of the benefits include a reduction in traffic congestion and less pollution. Also, Sullivan and Lewis highlight the benefits of equal employment opportunities for working mothers, the disabled and the long-term sick. In summary, this presentation demonstrates that teleworking has the potential to liberate workers' lives and offer them a positive work-life balance. However, it is important to recognise that the level of liberation an employee experiences is dependent on numerous factors such as their level in an organisational hierarchy and the management style used in the organisation. It is also obvious that employee attitudes to teleworking very much depend on the individual themselves and whether they feel teleworking is right for them. This relies on whether individuals are able to make sense of teleworking and organise their identity to get the best out of teleworking. In my experience, technology has changed working practices for the better. In my previous job, technology had allowed the creation of online systems which allowed me to see my shifts, book holidays, allocate my availability for the week without having to leave my own home.
The use of technology such as the internet, a smartphone are important to me as it allows me to work from home and reply to important electronic messages on the go from my peers and lecturers outside learning hours. The internet allows me to catch up on missed lectures via my university online platform, have access to ebooks, and most importantly, complete and turn in assignments without having to come on the university campus. However, being easily accessible via electronic messages or phone call puts me under immense pressure to reply to both lecturers and peers outside learning hours. In addition to this, working from home can sometimes be a disadvantage because of various distractions such as my video game console, TV programs, lack of motivation, which all leads to procrastination.
As a student, we might have many group work to do with other people. In my experience of doing an AEB group project, which is to produce a questionnaire with my groupmates, most often I prefer to discuss it through WhatsApp because we don't need to find a time to sit down to discuss it. However, sometimes it might decrease the efficiency of work because some people could not reply message on time, so the work has to stop and wait those people come back.
I think technology has enhanced my work efficiency. As a marketing student, I have to do quite a lot of quantitative research. At first, I was so worried and nervous because I don't know how to get started with handling so much data. But with technology, all I needed to do is to put the data in the SPSS system and press a few buttons. And the system will automatically help me to work out, analyze, process everything quickly. It makes everything so much convenient and efficient.
Being able to use smartphones and laptops and other mobile devices means I can pretty much do some uni work from wherever there is an internet connection. In my role outside of uni in a call centre, the computers we use give us customer account information instantly, making the job role a lot easier.
As demonstrated in the monitoring and control section of this presentation, control is evident in the systems that management use with regards to junior staff. Control is exercised through the ways that management use unethical approaches of monitoring, such as closely watching internet use, telephone calls and monitoring active time, breaks and email monitoring. This demonstrates that management priorities of control are natural, expected and excessively embedded in technology and telework. I think that the ability to work anywhere hugely increases flexibility. As a student, I know that from whatever location, providing I have either my smartphone, tablet or laptop, I am able to access the KLE, whether this is to see assignments, see marks, catch up on missed lectures, etc. For example, whilst I was in Belgium, I was able to access the KLE on my smartphone to retrieve an essay mark.
The use of technology to work anywhere increases my flexibility as a student because I can use my own device, that is my laptop, to gain access to the institutional computer system with security and compliance requirements. In addition to this, through audio recordings with my smartphone, I can easily review lectures at home conveniently at any time. However, it is problematic when lecturers upload files on a different platform.
Sometimes technology to working anywhere might decrease the efficiency in the group work, but most of the time it did increase the flexibility in my study life. For example, I can download the lecture notes from KLE to catch up something that I might miss in the lecture, and I could contact people at any time or anywhere that I want. Moreover, I also can read the ebook if some books are not available, whether I study at home or library. Like once a time when I'm doing my assignment at library and suddenly I find that I forgot to bring the core textbook and there are no more copies in the library, but luckily it's available on ebook.
In my experience, I think the way technology allows us to work anywhere has massively increased my flexibility. Earlier, before I have a project with 6 other people, I find it really difficult to arrange a time and a place that is suitable for everyone to have a proper meeting. So instead, our group decided to talk over the ideas and discuss the matter on the phone. We exchange the tasks, send the voicemail over. So even though we don't have a face-to-face discussion, we are able to discuss everything and get the work done by the deadlines.
In my experience, it increases flexibility massively. My father is a teleworker. I know there was a time in my childhood where I needed to go to the A&E department, and due to my dad's flexibility, he was able to take me and also be on the phone, still working even though he had to help me. Thanks for watching.